What's up, guys? I'm Bob Tompkins with Real Broker and living in South Carolina, and welcome back to the channel. On today's episode of Living in South Carolina, we are going to be talking about the 10 things you need to know before moving to Anderson, South Carolina. So let's get right into it. So coming in at number 1, first on my list is the question that I get asked the most, and that is, how is the weather? So the weather in Anderson, I feel, is actually ideal for year-round living. A lot of people in different parts of the country, maybe they experience some pretty extreme heat during the summer or some pretty rough winters during the winter. But in Anderson, we have pretty mild temperatures for the majority of the year. Yes, during July and August, it can get a little hot and sticky because of the humidity and temperatures that are around 90 to 95 degrees. And during the winter, we do have maybe a 2 to 3 week span in late January, early February, where you may see some snowfall or some freezing rain, but that's rare, and those instances are few and far between. So for the most part in Anderson, you have really mild weather. You have winters that tend to stick around 40 to 50 degrees, summers that are high 80s, and then you've got the fall and the spring that really are just wonderful times down here. But the one sticking point, and that's a pun intended, is the humidity. The humidity here really is sticky. In the height of the summer, you really can feel that moisture in the air kind of sticking on you, and it can make some of those higher temp days a little unenjoyable. Coming in at number 2 is the population. So Anderson's size is 27,000 people that live within the city limits. So Anderson itself, Anderson proper, really is a pretty small town. If you hang out a lot in the city at the different restaurants, bars, churches, wherever your scene is, you're gonna be around a lot of the same people. So it does have that small town feel, the ability to get to know a lot of people and have a lot of people get to know you. But Anderson County is actually pretty large. Anderson County currently has a little over 200,000 people in the entire county, and it's growing at a pretty rapid rate. According to the US Census Bureau, over the last 10 years, Anderson has grown at a rate of 8.4%, which is pretty significant, especially when you put that out over time. In fact, back in the 80s, only about 130,000 people lived in Anderson County. So right there, you're looking at about 50% growth over a 40-year time span. So it's safe to say that Anderson is one of those places that is seeing constant growth. So coming in at number 3 on my list is one of the big reasons I think we're seeing that growth, and that is the taxes. Anderson, South Carolina, because it's in South Carolina, benefits from a lot of South Carolina tax law, where South Carolina has some of the lowest property taxes in the country. We do have a little bit higher of an income tax, but you really don't feel that as much when it's coming out of your paycheck every pay period. Now, that being said, the city of Anderson actually has some higher taxes than most cities in the upstate of South Carolina. Especially from an investor standpoint, the 6% tax rate in the city of Anderson is pretty significant. And I think that's why you see pretty much a stagnant population level in the city of Anderson. It's been around 26 to 27,000 people for the last 40 years. But the county has those lower taxes, and you really are seeing the growth there over time because people are able to move here and alleviate some of that tax burden that they have on them. Number 4 on my list is the food options. Now, Anderson for me is a town that has some really good options if you're looking for dining, looking for nightlife, maybe some places to go drink. But I do have to be honest, Anderson is a little limited on those options. There are a few really great restaurants in Anderson, some places that I personally love to go eat. One of my favorite breakfast places is Corner Bagel. One of my favorite dinner places is Sullivan's. And then you've got some other great restaurants like McGee's, Earl Street Tavern, Doolittle's. There are some really good options there. But for the most part, if you're looking for a nightlife or you're looking for a great dining experience, you really do need to make a trip over to Greenville, South Carolina, which is about a 30-minute drive. Depending on the area of Anderson that you may or may not be living in, It could be as much as 40 minutes, but Greenville is phenomenal. I'm not sure if the statistic is still true, but at one point, Greenville did have the most restaurants per capita in the US. So Greenville is a foodie town with a plethora of options. So if you can't find exactly what you're looking for, dining and nightlife wise, it's not that far over to Greenville. Coming in at number 5 on my list of things to know about Anderson is Clemson. When you live here, there are a ton of Clemson fans. You are saturated with orange and purple everywhere around you, and it is incredibly annoying. If you are not a Clemson fan, you need to be prepared to hear about Clemson all the time and how great Dabo Swinney is and in all of their football glory. I need you to know this, because if you don't like Clemson, you need to be prepared to go to war every single day, fighting for whatever team you love or what college you love. Obviously, this is not a huge sticking point for me, but I do spend the majority of my time complaining about the amount of Clemson memorabilia there is around me and my house and in my neighborhood and when I go out to eat. But, if sports aren't that important to you, this shouldn't be that big of a deal. But for me, it really does kind of drive me crazy. Go Gamecocks. Coming in at number 6 on my list is Anderson's proximity to things. I don't know of a better way to really say that, but Anderson is close to a lot of things. A lot of times if you live somewhere, if you want to be able to visit a big city, if you want to be able to go to the mountains, if you want to be able to go to the beach, you have to kind of pick or choose which one of those things is important to you when you're looking for a new place to live. For Anderson, we're close to just about everything. You're about 2 hours away from Atlanta and Charlotte. You're about an hour away from really getting into the mountains. And then you're about 3.5 hours from being able to get down to like Charleston and be at the beach. That is a little bit of a haul, but if you're trying to do a little weekend trip, it's not so far that you can't make that drive. I really do love this about Anderson, because if you're trying to get away to like maybe a big concert, Atlanta and Charlotte are huge draws for those. If you want to be able to get away, maybe rent a mountain cabin, go up into the mountains, that's only about an hour away. And even though we are about 3.5 hours from the beach, we have some great lakes around here. We have Lake Hartwell, Lake Kiwi, and Lake Jocassee, which really offer you the ability to get on the water if that's important to you. So Anderson's proximity to things really does make it for a great living experience. Coming in at number 7, and this isn't the most pleasant thing about Anderson, but it's pretty true for the entire state of South Carolina, and it's that we have mosquitoes. And those suckers, they're pretty big, they're pretty prevalent. You see them a lot during those hot, humid summer months. But the one benefit about Anderson, even though we do have mosquitoes and they are annoying and you will run into them, it's not nearly as bad as if you were down around the coastline and around those areas that are a little more swampy or have a lot more of water content in the ground. Thankfully, we're close enough to the mountains to where they're not an extreme problem. But if you are from a northern state or out in the Midwest, you may not be used to seeing many mosquitoes at all, and we do have quite a few of them down here. Coming in at number 8 on my list of things you need to know about Anderson is Clemson Boulevard. Now, Clemson Boulevard is that place in Anderson, all of the shopping, all of the dining, all of the different experiences and entertainment that you could be looking for, they all exist on Clemson Boulevard. And that's a big positive because you know where to go if you need something or want something. But it's also a big negative because everything is on Clemson Boulevard. So when everyone in Anderson wants to go out and have a good time, Clemson Boulevard is packed, which makes for the driving not that good of a time. So if you're coming in from outside of the city, you need to learn the back roads around Clemson Boulevard so you can bypass some of that traffic, especially during the holiday season. When you're between Thanksgiving and New Year's, Clemson Boulevard can just be the absolute worst. You could be stuck there for 30, 40 minutes, and it is not that long of a road. So you need to learn those back roads. Otherwise, your holiday shopping is just gonna be a pain. Coming in at number 9 on my list is one of my favorite things about Anderson, And this one's pretty specific. It's Ren Park downtown. Ren Park downtown is one of these really cool places that Anderson loves to put on little events, plays. Me and my wife just a few months ago went and saw Mamma Mia performed by some local artists and theater kids that was really fantastic. Ren Park, they put on these different events, they put on these different shows, and normally these are free to the public. So it's a great opportunity to be able to go out, interact with the community, see a great show, be a part of a great event, and really not have to pay anything unless it's like a ticketed event where there's going to be beer and food and those sort of things to purchase. So I personally love Ren Park. It's something that when you come down here, you want to make sure you get involved downtown and see a little bit about what that experience is all about. And last, but certainly not least, coming in at number 10 on my list, and probably my personal favorite thing about Anderson, is the people. I moved to Anderson when I was 18 years old, did not know anybody except for a couple people I was going to college with, and getting involved in the community of Anderson is one of the greatest things that has ever happened to me. These are some of the greatest and nicest people on the planet, always willing to lend a helping hand and see you get where you want to be in your life and help you achieve your goals. I am personally extremely thankful for the community of Anderson and the people I've been able to meet while living here, and I look forward to continuing to grow my family here and plugging even deeper into the community. And if the community of a town is something that you're looking for in a new place to live, Anderson's really is special. There's so many great people here. I can guarantee if you plug into the community of people in Anderson, you are gonna fall in love with this town a lot faster than any of those other reasons could possibly make you love this town. Well guys, my name's Bob Tompkins, and this has been my list of 10 things you need to know before moving to Anderson, South Carolina. If you've enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button, check out some of our other videos, and we'll see you next time on Living in South Carolina.